Kyle Rittenhouse, in my opinion, got away with murder. And I'm going to explain to you why this is murder and how this case has turned upside down what we know as the Castle Doctrine. But the truth is, they have been chipping away at the Castle Doctrine for years in the United States. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse says Black Lives Matter. He has no problem with it. He actually supports the movement. Here it is.
This case has nothing to do with race. It never had anything to do with race. It had to do with the right to self-defense.
Right.
I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement. I support peacefully demonstrating. And I believe there needs to be change. I believe there's a lot of prosecutorial misconduct, not just in my case, but in other cases. And it's just amazing to see how much a prosecutor can take advantage of somebody.
The killer, Kyle Rittenhouse, is lying. See, body language gives him away as well. When he says that he supports the Black Lives Matter movement, he's shaking his head like this. Go back and look at the video, okay? He doesn't believe what he's saying. Now, naturally, he's on with Tucker Carlson that we interview tonight. Tucker Carlson, Fox News, safe haven for all things racist. So let's talk about the elements of racism that do exist. Obviously, the criminal justice system was biased in his favor. That is a racial element, okay? You don't have to simply be aggressive against black people in order to be racist. Remember why he was there. He traveled to that state because he was anti-Black Lives Matter protesters. That's why he was there. Let me remind everyone that in this Rittenhouse clip, Rittenhouse spoke out denying his case was related to race in the clip of his interview with Tucker Carlson. Acquitted teen was spotted on Sunday having lunch in Florida where he filmed the sit-down interview. Meanwhile, protests continue in Kenosha and several other cities over the not guilty verdict. This case, according to Kyle Rittenhouse, has nothing to do with race. It had nothing to do with race. It had to do with the right of self-defense, Rittenhouse told Fox News host Tucker Carlson in an interview filmed on Sunday. He went on to say, and I quote, "I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement and peacefully demonstrating." The teen added in an advanced clip of the interview, which is set to air on Monday night. Okay? They put out this part of the interview because they are coming to the rescue of Kyle Rittenhouse. Here's what the conservative right, here's what they're trying to protect Kyle Rittenhouse from. They don't want Kyle Rittenhouse to become Zimmerman, okay? That's what they're trying to protect. Now, Zimmerman, who also got away with murder, in my opinion, has lived a loser of a life. Well, he was a loser before it, okay? Remember, Matt Gaetz has already offered Kyle Rittenhouse a job in Congress. You have people going to his defense. There were celebrations that Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty. We have video after video all across America, people inside of bars in particular, white people especially, cheering and applauding the not guilty verdict. Now, why is that? Was Kyle Rittenhouse their son? No. Did they have some personal stake in the case? No. But why are they celebrating like this? Because they see their movement personified in Kyle Rittenhouse. Their movement that says, we can go to a protest for black people, for black lives. We can go to their protest armed, violating state law. We can be the aggressor. And we can kill someone if they got something to say about it and get away with it. So let me show you how this expands the Castle Doctrine and why I believe Kyle Rittenhouse got away with murder. The Castle Doctrine, also known as a castle law or a defense of habitation law, is a legal doctrine that designates a person's abode or any legally occupied place, for example, a vehicle or a home, as a place in which that person has protections and immunities permitting one in certain circumstances to use force. Real simple, right? Real simple stuff. If you are somewhere that you are supposed to be, it doesn't work if you're somewhere you're not supposed to be. If you're somewhere where you're supposed to be, somebody tries to attack you, you can use force. And yes, you can even use deadly force if the circumstance warrants it, right? Simple, Castle Doctrine. And then there was an expansion of that doctrine called stand your ground. Let's go to stand your ground. Stand your ground laws allow a person to use deadly force in a confrontation, no abode necessary, without any duty to retreat, even when they can do so safely. We have allowed them to chip away at the self-defense clause for decades in this country. You see, Wisconsin still has a state law that says you cannot use deadly force to protect property. Why? Because the duty to retreat is still statutory in Wisconsin. Now, states like Florida and some other states that have stand your ground laws, no. Confrontation can permit the immunity from your prosecution if you kill somebody, all right? And now look at what this case has done. This case is now said in very plain terms. You can go to another state, you can enter into a very chaotic situation, you can bring a weapon illegally, you can then be the aggressor, you can antagonize. And when they try to disarm you, because you are the antagonist here, armed and dangerous, when they try to disarm you because you have no legal authority to do what you're doing, you cannot use deadly force to protect property, not even your own property, unless your life is in danger at that property and you are inside of the property. You have a duty to retreat safely, a duty to retreat. This case law has turned upside down all of those statutory elements and common law known as case law that we've had in the United States of America. Kyle Rittenhouse has transformed all self-defense laws in this single case. Jackson, what are your thoughts?
Well, you touched on this, and one of the most important things to keep in mind is that the only reason we know who Kyle Rittenhouse is, and the only reason that the right wing has turned him into a lifelong icon, is because he did what he did at a Black Lives Matter protest. People go around and commit shootings and murders all the time, but this one specifically happened at a Black Lives Matter protest. And because of that, it gives, whether it's Black Lives Matter or the LGBTQ community or raising taxes on the wealthy or anything that unifies us in any type of way, that categorizes us as the others, it's ammo for them to just go against it. And one of the things that Kyle Rittenhouse pointed out in the interview that's getting ready to be released that we saw is basically him saying that his trial was unfair. Yet he's now a lifelong right-wing icon after walking away free from murdering 2 people across state lines. What drove a 17-year-old kid to drive across state lines with an assault rifle? Because it was a Black Lives Matter protest, and those people are trying to that clearly that's what it was. Yeah. I'm not a racist. Okay, but you wouldn't have been there if it wasn't a Black Lives Matter protest. So again, it's the same old story, but because this is so blown up, and unfortunately, one of the differences between him and George Zimmerman is, like you said, they're gonna keep him from being like just this perceived loser who's just like this big troublemaker. He's gonna be and from what I can tell, he's better spoken than George Zimmerman, so they can kind of butter him up really well. And we're gonna be seeing him for a long time.
I agree, because they're gonna make sure of it, right? They're gonna make sure that he's front and center in their cultural war. And here's what the right is really good at doing. They're good at selecting villains and selecting their own heroes who really are villains, right? Think about the people that are their champions: Matt Gaetz, Donald Trump, Kyle Rittenhouse. These are villains. These are not heroes. And for those who may say, well, Doc, there's no reason to believe that this court case will turn upside down what we know as common self-defense and more murders will take place. There's no reason to believe that. Let me challenge you on that notion. When states started to enhance and increase the Castle Doctrine, what do you think happened? You think less murders happened? Here's the stat. Let's put it up. Texas A&M, they did a study. Their study showed that justifiable homicides rose by 8% in stand your ground states. Damn, that's 600 additional killings connected to that law. Wow. All right. Jackson, I hate to say it. It pains me to say it. But more people are now, because of this case law, they're going to test it. They are going to go to a protest, be the adversary, the aggressor, the antagonist, kill someone, and claim the Rittenhouse defense.
And not only that, but they're going to be protected, and the right's going to be ready to protect them as they do. We're getting ready to go into election season. It's going to be really volatile. So all these cultural issues are only going to be really perpetuated throughout the media, on an extended basis. So you're absolutely right.